First of all, you've got to weigh up that the North Stand is governed by what is known as the Ground Safety Certificate. It's also governed by the EFL regulations. Now, in that Ground Safety Certificate, the responsibility for the entire stadium, every part of the stadium, buildings, anything, falls to the safety certificate holder, who just happens to be Abdallah Lemsangam. So between the hours of 1 p.m. and 6 p.m. on a Saturday, and 6 p.m. and 12 midnight on a night match, the man who decides how that stadium operates is Abdallah Lemsangam. It doesn't matter about anybody else. Now, let me just interject there and give you an example of if he doesn't have the say, what if anything goes wrong, what can happen. When you look at the current Manchester bombing investigation at the moment, and you look at the level of scrutiny as to who is being held responsible for each little bit of wrongdoing, it's quite frightening. So Abdallah has a duty of care to all the fans who go in that stand on a match day. The actual safety advisory group, that was the easy part of the operation. Whatever happened about that and the inspections with the fire and whatever. There were a lot of things wrong with it that should never, any responsible person running the building wouldn't have allowed it to be in that state. But anyway, Luke, a lot of that work, in fairness to them, has been completed. One of the things that's not been completed is that there has to be a safe and secure cctv system that operates from the bar in the stadium, in that bar, in that new stand, back to the police control box. That hasn't been done, and it's a fairly expensive job. So all these claims that everything's been done and hasn't been done or has been done, there are ways around that. Now, we come to the question of how it was operating before it was shut. And suffice to say, without boring you with this, that the way it was being operated previously required some changes because certain allegations were made that people were getting into the ground that shouldn't do. Now, unless you have safe entry into a ground, anybody can get in. So for argument's sake, if for example, they can open the bar at 11 o'clock, if you don't kick everybody out at 1 o'clock when the safety officer has control, anybody could have planted anything in that stadium. Now, at 1 o'clock, the safety officer takes over. They wanted free entry into that stadium for anybody, whether they were going to be fans or not, use it as a pub, you name it. The North Stand wanted to do it that way. First of all, it wasn't their decision. It's the safety officer or the safety certificate holder's decision. And the reason that that's the case is that if you don't have the ability to check the ticket and do a search, so the only way that there could be that stand open is that the people who were running the North Stand agreed to allow for there to be secure entry. In other words, you showed your ticket, you went in, you had your pint. If you didn't sit in the North Stand, but you sat in the Rock End, you came out at 10 to 3 and you went in your seat there. That wasn't a problem for most people. But the people running the North Stand didn't want that. Now, I'm not going to answer that for you. You tell me why they didn't want that. Was it too secure, that sort of entry? If the bomb goes up, it's not the steward at Oldham North Stand that stands in the box. It's the safety certificate holder that does it. He's the one that's in trouble. And that's the answer to that.